I swear, every couple of months, Veritas comes out with something new I can make a pretty quick and easy commentary on. Tonight's commentary is going to be on his video on Emo Worlds' commentary on the first Temporal Times commentary. I'll be skipping the intro because all it does is provide context I already gave you.
So I wanted to make a quick disclaimer before we actually get into things. I make light of it in the bumper intro, but I am aware that I'm particularly late to the party with talking about TTC.
Why the hell would you use a different character for your avatar during the disclaimer? Was your editing software unable to handle that many images of the funny Homestuck character?
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
This doesn't even rise to the level of a nitpick because you don't explain why this is a problem in the first place. Instead, you just point it out and I guess expect your audience to view it as a point.
And also, I'm not covering the video everybody else is going after, but if I do make any sort of similar talking points to other videos, I wanted to make it clear that I didn't try and steal any of their points. It's just a coincidence.
You literally just said you would be covering a different video. How can your points possibly be similar when the video you're covering isn't even the same video that everyone else is making a commentary on?
Because people could have similar issues with both this and the video that everybody else was covering, which for those who don't know would be TTC2. Fuck, Emo even acknowledges while talking about Destroyer Shy's venomosity towards targets in TTC1 that it was much worse in TTC2, meaning anyone who covered TTC2 is very likely to have made a similar point.
Also, to get into a tangent here, DS, can you quit it with this almost spiteful attitude you hold towards Zack? It's not as bad as, say, the attitude that you hold towards Keyblade Master in the second TTC commentary, but it's still genuinely irritating to hear you multiple times throughout the video make some sort of statement that amounts to,
"Oh, because you're you, and you're a bad person, I guess. I have reason to believe that you're dumb and stupid."
Hey DS, you're red, right?
An oddly specific question, but yes, I am. Why do you ask?
Because this guy named Zack Goes Rad did a video on Shari 5.
Amo, didn't you already explain the context of this video? Why would you play out the opening for context? That's repetitive.
So we'll ignore the fact you didn't actually play Emo explain the context, and the fact that you have decided to change how you pronounce her name from Emo to Emo, and instead say the context being referred to here isn't the degrees of the commentary, which yes, were previously explained, but instead the context for her following point, which is about how the co-op, in her view, failed to provide good chemistry between both of the parties involved and had mediocre at best editing.
first of all, the chemistry between both Ephron and DS fucking sucks. You know how in most good co-ops, the two commentators will try and make sure to have their interactions flow naturally, maybe through some witty and cleverly timed banter, for instance? Yeah, throw all of that out of the fucking window and you get this shit. Most of their interactions practically amount to,
"Oh, it is me, Destroyer the Shy. I am going to make point. Okay, now that I've made point, I will let my co-partner continue to make some more point while I sit in the corner and piss my pants."
Hello, my name is Ida Deframa Josine.
and it just comes off as incredibly janky in the long run. This skit, if you can even call this one, also isn't all that good either. It's just Ephron and DS spouting off info in the most bored way possible, without any kind of attempt at, well, anything. Finally, the biggest issue and the thing that's gonna haunt me for the rest of my days is that the editing is also really not good. Destroyer Shy's avatar pictures aren't properly centered with the background. There's also some obvious noise with his audio that persists throughout the entire video. And speaking of backgrounds, the shade of the background differs a little bit between both Ephron and DS's interjections. Like, why though? Like, at least with the first two issues, while I don't know exactly what type of softwares that either of them use, there are tons of tutorials available on the internet that can help them with these types of issues. Anyways, because this editing is driving me up the wall, I'm going to be re-editing their points and giving them Sheldon Cooper and Leonard from The Big Bang Theory, because this is why we don't get to have nice things.
Why? That is such a weird and arbitrary thing to do, and you're wasting time by doing that.
Because she thinks it would be funny, most likely. Also, regarding the text you put on screen, why? Why isn't that a good reason? Again, you don't fucking explain anything! Regarding your disclaimer, first off, I see you still haven't learned how to spell Shari 5 in the time between my last commentary on you and now. Shari has 2 R's in it, not 1. This is a mistake repeated throughout the entire video, by the way, which leads to some especially humorous moments when we see him counting Shari 5s with 1 R, Sins, on top of the screen, despite seeing Shari with 2 R's name on the screen at the same point of the video. For that matter, I have no idea what a controversy is, although I assume it's related to the concept of a controversy. Oh, also, sentences end with periods, not ellipses, and if that is supposed to be an ellipses, you're supposed to put a space between each period. Also, the sentence structure here is just horrible. There should be either a comma or a period after the word content, and the and should be cut, with I don't want to start any controversy being its own sentence. Also, it should be with this video, not for this video.
Shut the fuck up! Ephraim, buddy, pal, compadre. I did this joke in my last video, so you get it. Did you really need to spend nearly a minute to make a point that is essentially
"Lol, you spelled stuff wrong, you idiot"?
That argument only works if the original attempt at correcting one's grammar was insignificant.
If the attempt is insignificant? Don't you mean if the mistake is insignificant? I just find it weird to the point where you defend my correcting of other people's grammar includes a very notable grammatical slip-up of its own.
This instance was not insignificant. The original paragraph didn't have just one misspelling. The entire thing lacked grammatical everything, and Ephraim was more than justified to point that out.
It lacked grammatical everything? What the fuck does that even mean? The sentence was still coherent. It still followed the basic rules of things like syntax and structure well enough to where what was being said got communicated to the audience. Hell, that's how I was able to spot the grammatical errors in the first place. It's because it was at least written well enough to where I consistently knew what Zach was attempting to say and how he failed to actually say it. Also, the significance of an individual grammatical error has nothing to do with the quantity of grammatical errors in a sentence. That doesn't even make any sense. Again, it's about if the ideas that are being presented get communicated effectively. The point of verbal language is communication, after all.
And if you're wondering why I'm using a different avatar for this, your mother.
Oh, that's great.
I didn't cut anything out there. That was genuinely his entire interjection. What was the point of that?
Wait, where did he go? There's no way out from here.
He jumped over the fence.
No, he didn't. By that logic, you could also do that. You are aware you could jump over ledges in this very game, right? Like, did you even bother to proof check this video beforehand? Then again, concerning the rest of this video, I think I just answered my own question.
Okay, to pull a card from your deck, where's your proof that he didn't?
Hello class, welcome to Epistemology 101. Can anyone here tell me if it is possible to prove a negative? Actually, don't answer that, I'll tell you. It's not.
Yes, you could. For example, you could prove something isn't the case through proving something contradictory to what you are proving isn't the case is the case. When this is done regarding the location of a person, or you are proving somebody wasn't somewhere by proving they were somewhere else at that same time, this is called an alibi. Which is also something that, as we all know, ugly people lack.
Does she have an alibi?
For what? Why would she need an alibi?
So you're saying she does not have an alibi?
Well, no.
Okay, so we've established she ain't got no alibi. She ugly. She ugly. U-G-L-Y. She ain't got no alibi. She ugly.
Screw off.
With your ability, you could become a top leader in Team Rocket. Buddy, I'm 10. You really think that putting a 10-year-old in possession of a fire-breathing lizard in any sort of position of power for a crime syndicate is a good idea? I wouldn't do that even if they didn't have the fire-breathing lizard.
He probably means when you're an old age. No, I get you might need an ID when you're 16 in order to get a job, but he probably means that at an old age.
You say that, but you realize this is a series where you can catch legendary Pokemon and basically do anything you want, right? And concerning the police in this game, yeah, I'm still surprised there isn't more crime, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay, but what was the point of this?
Wow, what an insightful and meaningful point built upon such convincing evidence that you made right there, Miss World. But seriously, that right there was a big fat waste of time. Don't ever do that again.
Wait, let me try something.
Wow, what an insightful and meaningful point built upon such convincing evidence that you made right there. But seriously, that right there was a big fat waste of time. Don't ever do that again.
And if you're wondering why I'm using a different avatar for this, your mother.
Oh, that's great. Wow, what an insightful and meaningful point built upon such convincing evidence that you made right there. But seriously, that right there was a big fat waste of time. Don't ever do that again. Anyway, that's all that sucked of that video. Let's move on to general flaws with our channel, starting with our thumbnail designs because, oh my god, my eyes.
Did you really need to put all those quotes there? Because all it does is make my eyes water with disgust. And it's not like this other thumbnail is any better. Simplicity is the key to good thumbnail design. Take inspiration from Juan next time.
Okay, I'll ignore how pretentious it comes off to cite yourself as a positive example, and instead just say, the point of a thumbnail is to give the viewers a general idea of what the video is going to be like, while also grabbing their attention. Meaning a simple one could, if anything, look less attention-grabbing, or give the audience less incentive to click on said video because they're under the impression said video will also be rather simple. Emo's thumbnail, on the other hand, is at least visually interesting, and it gives me the impression the video will also be visually interesting, so I'm more likely to pick it than I am yours. Also, what about this thumbnail isn't simple? I'll grant you it's not as simple as your thumbnail, but it is in of itself at the very least less complex than the thumbnail for Emo's commentary on Temporal Times 1, and more generally just doesn't have all that much going on visually.
Finally, I want to talk about the images you use for your avatar. The unofficial images, that is. This is something I brought up before in my video on Raven Pines, and I want to elaborate further on. Yes, obviously no one is banned from using fan art of characters, but it's still shit. You see, making presentable and optically appeasing slideshow commentaries is a lot like making a good flag. Yes, you don't have to follow any rules or basic cohesion when creating it, but when you don't, then the results are
What's unappealing about this flag? It looks perfectly fine to me. Again, and I swear to fuck, I say this like every commentary now. I'm not even saying you're necessarily wrong, I'm just saying you don't explain why you're right, so I have no reason to believe you. Of course, applying right and wrong to things like good design is a tad silly given this is entirely subjective. What if the people of Milwaukee actually think this flag looks good? What if Emo thinks using unofficial art looks perfectly fine and if anything, allows us to see different styles of art while looking at her video when otherwise we'd just be seeing the same style over and over again? Hell, you could argue this actually makes the video more visually engaging because there's a greater variety in the avatar being used.
Now, I am not a Homestuck fan, so I'm not 100% sure which art is official, but it's pretty easy to tell which isn't because of how jarring it is.
Meaning, through process of elimination, you can tell which art is official, but details. Anyway, final thoughts. I'll grant Veritas this isn't bad in the same way as his last two outings I've covered, so at the very least that shows some sign he's learning from his mistakes. However, this video's main flaw is just nonsensical standards and not very good points. I don't know where exactly I'd rank it in terms of his worst videos, but I know for sure it's not very good. Good night, and good luck.